Hello and welcome to the best DTG printer comparison by Coldesi. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at three different printers in the under $30,000 range. That's kind of the sweet spot for direct-to-garment printers. We're going to look at our own brand, DTG, and take a look at the brand new M2 printer, which we're naturally very proud of. We're going to compare that with the Anajet and the most popular Brother model in that kind of capability and price range. So the first thing we'll do is go through introductions. We'll talk a little bit about what is DTG, the difference between that and screen printing or silk screening. I'm going to describe interface time to you and why that's vitally important for your business, for you to think about that. And then we'll do the actual machine comparison and come to our conclusions afterwards. So what we're going to do is take a look at printers under $30,000. That's kind of the sweet spot for DTG. And you can spend a lot more. You can get up to $100,000 or more for a direct-to-garment printer. You can spend a little bit less but not get close to the capabilities. So this is really where we're going to focus for you and your business. All the systems that we talk about are designed to print directly onto textiles, including t-shirts and other kind of material-based products. And you should know that DTG printers are the basis for most of the custom t-shirt companies out there. So if you go online and you order a custom t-shirt and there's just one or two or five of them, there's a very, very, very good chance that it's produced on a DTG printer. All of the data that we talk about, all the numbers, all the prices, all the speed information, everything is drawn from publicly available sources or from phone calls that we've made to manufacturers and customers. So let's go ahead and get started and talk about what is DTG. DTG stands for direct to garment. So a DTG printer is one that will print directly onto a t-shirt, for example. So hence when I mentioned custom t-shirts, if you send a file to somebody and they send you back a t-shirt with that graphic file on it, then that was likely done with the DTG printer. It works pretty much like your inkjet printer does at home. It actually produces droplets of ink in a variety of different colors, CYMK and black, to make your full color image. And again, it prints directly onto the t-shirt. It doesn't print on transfer paper. It doesn't print onto anything else. It prints onto the garment itself. Now we're going to talk about screen printing for just a moment, because when you talk about custom t-shirts and talk about DTG, screen printing or silk screening always comes up. And the difference really is that silk screening involves applying ink to screens first, just like in the photographs that you see, and having one screen for each color. So as you can see in the first picture, you've got a red screen. Well, you've got a screen that they apply red ink to. Then if you wanted any yellow on your t-shirt, then you would have another screen that you apply yellow ink to. You can see the pattern. So really, the downside to screen printing is that it's messy. It takes up a lot of space. And for example, if you want a complicated design, you want a big full color design, it's going to be a lot of screens. So you produce an individual screen or kind of a stencil or template for the t-shirt or the image that you want printed in each individual color. So when you order shirts, you have to create a screen for each. So there's always a setup fee, because that screen can only be used for that design. The more colors, the more screens you'll need, so the more cost there is to the shirts. Where it really comes in handy is for large runs. So if you want 500 shirts or 1,000 shirts or 10,000 shirts with the same image on it, then it's going to be much cheaper and more efficient to use screen printing than direct-to-garment printing, because once that setup cost is done, the per print cost is lower. The biggest advantage to DTG or direct-to-garment printing versus screen print is that really it's an incredibly short setup time in comparison. So basically all I'm going to do is I'm going to take a file that I've created in Corel or Photoshop or whatever graphics program I've got. There's no screens to create. I just pull it up into the RIP software, make my adjustments, and I'm ready to go. So there's usually no additional setup cost for that. You always get a 4-color image, or a full color image, I should say, unless you choose black and white or one color. So there's no need to consider whether or not you want the 16 colors in your logo or the picture to print out. It's just going to do that. It's always full, beautiful color. It's significantly cheaper and faster for short runs. So as I said, if you want to print one shirt, if you want to print 5 shirts, if your customers want to print 20 or 25 shirts, DTG is going to be by far the easiest, fastest, and cheapest way to do that. And frankly, I think you'll get better quality in the long run. It's also easier. The DTG printer will fit in a garage or a bedroom. And it just uses your computer, so there's no big separate buckets of ink, or you don't have to screed the ink onto the screens. It's easy computer-based printing, very similar to your printer at home. So what we'll do now is we're going to start our comparison of direct-to-garment printers. And I'm going to start that by describing the difference between interface time and print speed. Print speed is how long it takes for a direct-to-garment printer to actually make an image onto a t-shirt. What that doesn't take into account is how long it takes to set up that job, to pre-treat that t-shirt, for your operator to load up the design, etc. So print speed is, of course, very important, but it really isn't the end-all and be-all to productivity. So interface time includes the time it takes for an operator to print multiple shirts, let's say a real-world order of 25 or 50 shirts, as opposed to printing just one. And the key to interface time is, like on the M2, where you have multiple platens. You'll see later that you can actually print 2 or more shirts at once. So what does that mean? That means that you're basically taking half the time. So you're not tying up an operator. You're reducing errors from print to print because you can do twice as many t-shirts at a time. So when we look at these other printers and we see that the M2 will print 2 full-size or even 4 just left chest logos, for example, or kids' clothes, have the right platens, and the garment is small enough, you're setting up a job to print multiple shirts. So you're not tying up that operator, reduces errors, increases productivity time, and it lets you do. So, if you print one shirt and your operator has to stand there and wait for that shirt to print to take that off and put on the next one and get it ready, that's time that you're not able to take a phone call, or take an order from a customer, or answer a question, or do one of the 10,000 things that you need to do every day. So the interface time, the strength and the ability in being able to print quickly on multiple garments at a time, to set up multiple jobs in your RIP software, it's a big deal, and it'll end up being the difference between making a difference in how much money you make at the end of the day. So we're in our printer review, we're going to start off with Anajet. Anajet makes a very good machine. It's incredibly popular because it's very fast, and it uses a cartridge-based ink system, which we'll talk about in just a second. So first of all, it is fast. It has a fast print speed. It does have a single platen system, as you can see in the picture there. You can only print on one shirt at once, which is a significant disadvantage as far as interface time, because now when that shirt is done, you have to be there, you have to take it off, you have to put the next one on, and then you have to set up the next print. Also, it uses a cartridge ink system. Now, cartridge inks are great, they're easy to use, but that white ink is very important. Over time, white ink will actually settle and separate into its components. So you actually have to agitate or take out that white ink cartridge and shake it occasionally to make sure it doesn't settle and cause damage to your prints or your print heads. You also, it's recommended that you do head cleaning every 6 to 8 hours, which means you're stopping production, you're doing that head cleaning every 6 to 8 hours, which interrupts your day. And the print area, just as a matter of information, is 14 inches by 18 inches, which is really not a bad size, not the biggest available, but still definitely functional. Now the Brother Graffittee 381 is another very popular printer. It also uses the cartridges, so you have that same issue of having to agitate the white. It's got a slightly smaller print area than the Anajet there. It is easy to use. There's no rip software. So that means you're just going from the application and printing just like you would on a regular printer. Now there are big disadvantages to that as well, because some of the artistry in DTG is setting the levels of the ink that you want to print out. So for example, if I want to print out white ink at half the resolution as the rest of the ink set, so I get a good clear image on a dark shirt, but I'm not wasting ink in order to do so, that makes a big difference. So that's really where the RIP software on the DTG printers, both the Anajet and to an even greater extent on the Coldesi DTG brand printer, really shines. So no rip software can be an advantage because it's simple, but also a disadvantage because frankly you use a lot more ink. It's a single platen system like the Anajet, so you're not getting that interface time boost. It uses cartridge inks, and in particular you do get a lot of waste ink. So this is ink that's not used in the process, and all DTG printers have this. That just kind of drips out at the end of the day, and you have to empty that. The Brother does have a high waste ink levels. And once again, the print area is 14 inches by 16 inches, which is a little small, but will be great for most purposes. Now the M2 is the DTG printer that we deal with every day, we print on every day, and the first advantage that you'll see is it's got a really large print area. Remember, the Brother, for example, was 14 by 16, and the Anajet was 14 by 18, but our DTG M2 printer is 17.7 by 24. You can do either one really huge print, or you can actually have up to 8 shirt platens. So you can do multiple images at one time, or multiple shirts or garments or children's wear or baby clothes at one time, depending on the platen system that you've got, because the print area is so big as well. So 2 to 8 shirt platen system. So let's say that most of the time you're going to be printing adult shirts, and if it's a full image, you still get it's printing 2 shirts at a time. So basically, you set up your job, you hit print, you walk away, and now you're getting 2 shirts printed instead of just 1. So you don't have to touch that printer again until both those shirts are done, as opposed to stopping whatever you're doing with the other 2 printers, printed a shirt, take it off, put on the next one, you get twice that time. It's the only one of the 3 that we're talking about here that uses a bulk ink system. And that means that the ink comes in bottles or jugs, and that's the way it is fed into the printer itself. So a bulk ink system has a great advantage in that with ours, there's also a WIMS, white ink management system. So you never have to stop your printing and remove the white ink cartridge to shake it up to make sure you get prints, because the white ink is constantly agitated with all of the DTG brand printers. So the bulk ink system is definitely superior in this case. You also get the best warranty in the business. You get a 2-year warranty, and that is on parts for the direct-to-garment printers. Not that you'll typically need it, and you always get free technical support from Coldesi. So that is a big deal. As you're getting started, you're going to have questions. We've got an online tech support system that's second to none, and more than 4 hours of actual tech support tips and tricks on our YouTube channel at Coldesi Coleman is the name of our YouTube channel. So in the end, all these things add up to the lowest interface time. And remember, interface time equals cash in your pocket because you are free to do other things. So here's our little comparison here. We're going to take a look at print speed on a single shirt. The DTG M2 is fast. The Anajet M Power 5 is a little bit faster for one shirt. The Graffittee is nothing to write home about. The interface time on the M2 is the best because you have more than one platen. So you just set up your RIP software and print. We gave a little credit to the Brother M2 because I'm sorry, the Brother Graffittee 381 because without the RIP software, your interface time is a little bit better. So you're not having to load that graphic up into a RIP software and print. But the RIP software coupled with the M2's Dual Platin Plus make it by far better than either of the two other printers. The number of garments per job there, again, for the M2 we put 2. It can be a lot more. We're just talking about adult tees. The warranty is 2 years on the M2 versus 1 year on the M-Power 5 and the Graffittee. White ink management system, that's what we talked about. So the white ink on the DTG M2 is constantly agitated, so there's no need to stop your production and handshake the cartridges. For training, Coldesi offers classes in Tampa, Florida. Anajet has free in-house classes in California. Graffittee charges separately, so that's kind of why we have the asterisks on their price down there, is because they have a tendency to they charge for on-site training, they charge for online training, etc. Okay, so we get down to the price. You can see the M2 is just under $27,000. The Anajet M-Power, when we called it was quoted to us as $30,000. We do see that for less online pretty regularly. The Graffittee is typically the cheapest one at the $25,000, but that's only before you add the cost for training, etc. So bundles really will change that pricing level. You know, you may get more ink with the purchase. You may bundle in a heat press. So these prices really are just a guide. Typically, you'll end up with all 3 printers at under $30,000, which is why they're all here. They're all very good quality products. What we did see is that the M2 is superior in interface time, and that will make you more money because it'll take you less time to print. So the best DTG printer we think here at Coldesi is the M2. You get better interface time. You get 2 of the platins versus 1 fixed, so you can do 2 or more garments at the same time, which is more shirts per job. You get a better warranty. There's definitely more training options, and the white ink management system means less downtime. So I hope you got something out of this presentation and the video that we've created comparing direct-to-garment printers under $30,000, and understand that the M2 is going to be your best choice, that you'll call us at 877-793-3278, talk to some of our extremely knowledgeable salespeople, or go to dtgprintermachine.com to learn more about the products. Thanks, and have a great day.